Well, hello and welcome to Breakout session number 61. Today we're going to learn a simple beginner exercise that does 7 things at the same time. You're going to really love it. But first, let me say hey to all the Guitar League members out there around the country that might be watching today. And I would ask, if you haven't already, and anybody else watching my channel, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you like it, and hit the bell, and we'll let you know when the next video is coming up there. There's all kinds of good stuff up there. Okay, so first I have to make a confession. I plagiarized this idea from another YouTube guitar teacher. But I liked it so much that I wanted to share it with Guitar League members and other people watching this. This is really good for the person who is either a beginner and you're struggling moving from one chord to another, or you're teaching beginners. I've been looking for tips. I've got a class I've been teaching a few times now where it's a group class of beginners. Okay, so I'm always looking for ideas that would help them enjoy it, like immediately, enjoy guitar playing. So the 7 things that this exercise is going to do. First of all, it sounds musical, doesn't sound like an exercise. It's going to teach you about some chord movement. It's going to teach you about tension and release, which is an important part of music. It's going to help you learn notes on the fretboard, which I'm a big proponent of learning all the notes on the fretboard. This will help you learn a few and memorize them. It's going to teach you about call and response. It's going to teach you about dissidence sounds. It's going to help you learn the relationship between the E and the F note and the B and the C note compared to other notes in the musical alphabet. And it's accidentally going to teach you a mode. It's going to teach you the Phrygian mode, the E Phrygian mode, which is the 3rd mode of the C scale. And it's just fun. So let's get into it. All you have to be able to play pretty much is an E chord shape. The typical E major chord. Okay? Then we're going to take that chord and move it up 1 fret. And you can strum all the strings. If you just strummed the strings that you were fretting, you pretty much have an F triad. But when you add them all, now you got an extension on the F chord. All kinds of things in it. 13s, 11s, God only knows what. You don't need to know that, but you just need to know what it sounds like. So you're taking an E chord, you're moving it all up 1 fret to an F chord. And this teacher called this whole thing Spanish-ish, which I thought was really cool. Okay, and later he gives you some visual images that are great for this too. So first, all we got to do is be able to take an E chord and move it up a fret. You can release the E, but don't take your fingers off the strings and then just move it up. Don't worry about whether it squeaks or not, because it's immaterial. Guitars squeak. You're not in a studio. Just enjoy that. Play a little bit with your right hand, or left hand if you're a lefty. Okay, so that's the chord movement. This is a dissonant sound. You see, you don't want to end on that sound, do you? It needs to resolve back. So that's like dissonance, okay? That's like tension and release. So you're learning about that. You're learning that kind of a sound. Oh, that's very dissonant. It's got tension in it. I need to take it back somewhere. Back to where I started. Okay? So we got the sounds musical. We got the teaching the chord movement. We got the teaches tension and release. And it's going to help you learn the fretboard. Now, this other YouTube teacher, he gave some pictures behind the screen of a matador coming into town and a senorita on a balcony while he's passing by. So the matador would go. So he played an open E, first fret, third fret. So that's an E, F, G, F, E. And then he said, say the notes out loud while you play that. So you got E, F, G, F, E. E, F, G, F, E. So now you know where the E, F, and G is on that top E string. E, F, G, F, E. That's the matador. Then the senorita is down on the bottom sixth string, which is exactly the same thing. It's an E, F, G, F, E. That's fun, I think. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Okay, it's very Spanish-y sounding. Okay, so that's what he was doing. He said, call out the notes, the names of the notes, while you play them. So it's E, F, G, F, E. Then you could play the chord. You could move it up. You could move it back. Then you could answer it. So now you got a call and response, which is a very important part of music. You're trying to tell a story with your music when you write music. So you're saying something and somebody's answering you. E, F, G, F, E, E, F, G, F, E, E, F, G, F, E. Okay, now we're going to take it one step further. And if you notice that the E and the F is the first fret, which is a half a tone, which is on a guitar, it's like one fret, okay? So there's a 0 fret, there's a 1 fret on an E to an F. So that relationship, E and F, is always a half a tone apart. So where there's an E, there's an F right next to it, okay? So now we're learning a little more about the notes on the fretboard. Okay, so the same thing down here on the other E string. So everything you learn on this top E string is the same on the bottom E string, only an octave higher. So E, F, G, F, E. So there's open, no fret, 1 fret. E, F, E, F. Okay, so now the B, C notes in a scale have the same relationship, a half a tone, 1 fret on a guitar. So if we want to carry this on, the B string, open, the B string on the first fret is a C, so B, C. If you go up another one, that's a D. B, C, D, C, D. So now we got a whole bunch of notes here. We got E's, F's, G's, B's, C's, and D's. We're not missing much out of a musical alphabet, are we? So when we move that whole E chord up 1 fret, underneath our index finger is an A note, and if we let it go, it's a G note. So if we just come back to the F, take our finger off and strum it, and put our finger back on. So now we have a G, an A, a B, a C, a D, a E, F, and a G. Okay? That's every note in the musical alphabet, no sharps or flats. And it's also every note in a C scale. Okay, but we're in E. So we don't want to get too into the weeds for you beginners, okay? But there's things called modes, and there's 7 of them, okay? And it happens that the third mode of the C scale is the E Phrygian mode. And those are the notes that we're actually playing. So it's a C scale, but it starts and ends on the E. Okay, it has all the notes in the C scale, but it starts on the E and it ends on an E. And it's a minor sounding scale, which is why that sounds, it's like Spanish gypsy, or definitely a minor sound to this Spanish chord progression. So now we're going to do one other thing to expand on his idea. We have this E chord, and we've moved it up one, which gives us like an gives us like an F chord, kind of, sort of. F-ish, for Spanish-ish. So if we take that same E chord shape and we just move every finger down one string, we have an A minor, which is a perfect chord for this progression. Actually, a song like Malagueña goes from an E to an A minor to an E. And there's actually an F in that too. There's like 5 parts to Malagueña. Okay, but it's like, you know. I don't learn how to play Malagueña, but. Something like that, you know. I don't have it down yet. No, I don't remember how it goes. No, I don't remember how Malagueña goes. But anyway, that's the chord progression for Malagueña. So we have learned E chord shapes, which you already probably did. We learned how to move that up 1 fret to get that Spanish-ish chord. We learned how to take that chord and we learned how to drop it down. Then we learned a bunch of notes on the fretboard. So we learned, starting on the big fat string, we learned E, F, G, bottom string, E, F, G. Then we learned B, C, D. Then we learned A, G, A, G. So, you know, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's B. You know, that's still a C scale starting on G, okay? So, those are the 7 things that you can learn. And the other thing is, I've been just playing around with it because I want to show my students this. And it's just so much fun, you know? It's just... do it with just your fingers too, you know. Those 3 chords are a lot of fun. You can play around with it, and that's the other thing. That's the bonus, is you get to, you know, you can hear that. I think you can hear a Spanish sound in there, and you've heard the kind of different things they do with that flamenco stuff. So you can play around with the rhythm of it yourself and get more familiar with it. So. This went a little longer than I wanted to, but I thought it was very, very important. Let me know down in the comments if you think it's worth. And so for you people in Guitar League who teach beginners and rookies and stuff, I think this is a really good thing for getting somebody that might only know a couple chords to do an exercise which doesn't sound like exercise. Okay? So you guys be safe out there, and we're going to see you in the next video. So long.